Hey guys, Andy555 here, coming at you with another thrilling moto vlog from Sydney, Australia. So this video vlog, I'm going to be talking about my thoughts on having a big, heavy cruiser as your first motorcycle, as opposed to something that's lightweight and maybe a sports bike. So stay tuned. So if you're not a regular subscriber to my channel, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and do yourself a favor, because I make regular videos every Tuesday. As I said before, this video is about riding a cruiser for a learner bike versus something lightweight and nimble. So for me, this cruiser basically weighs like a quarter of a ton. It's a 650cc. It's quite a capable bike. It's got plenty of power, but it is LAMS restricted and it is heavy. But my thoughts on having something like this for you to learn on is a little bit divided, really. On one hand, it's got plenty of power, it's comfortable, it's a nice ride. You basically want to just ride this bike everywhere. But on the other side of it is, because it's so big and heavy, it takes a bit to get used to if you're not used to a heavy bike. I guess if you weren't very strong, or if you're quite a short person, you might have difficulties managing this bike. Well, maybe not so much if you're short, because the seat rides pretty low. But if you didn't have much strength, you know, you're an older person or something like that, you might find this a little bit heavy if it was your first motorcycle. If you'd been riding for years and years, you'd know what to expect, and basically you might even find this to be quite light. So as far as I'm concerned, a big heavy motorcycle like this, being that it weighs almost a quarter of a ton, for your first motorcycle, you're basically going to limit yourself in some areas. One is, it is heavy, so slow speed maneuvering, doing U-turns and dodging in and out of traffic, as well as lane filtering to a degree, can be a bit hard to get your head around and grasp versus something smaller. And in this case, I'm just going to use the example of a Honda CBR 250R, because that's quite a popular bike as the lighter version of it, well, lighter option. So that bike, you can dodge in and out of traffic, you'd have no dramas, lane filtering, doing slow speed maneuverings, you'd be absolutely fine. So being a 650cc, this thing sitting in traffic, stopped like this on a hot summer's day, that exhaust can get bloody hot. So if you are riding and commuting and doing a lot of city traffic, and basically you're going to be stop start, and you live in a warmer climate, or, you know, I hate to say it, but you like to squid and you don't want your leg getting hot from the exhaust, or even on vice versa, you like to wear all the gear and you don't want to be fainting on your bike because it's too hot, then maybe this 650 with a big exhaust around the side isn't what you're after. Maybe you want something that's smaller and it's going to be temperature wise cooler. Other bikes like that one that just zipped by, they're pretty good, and if you want to get a sports bike in the long run, maybe start off on a sports bike to get a feel of that. Turning corners is another limiting factor on a big bike like this, but not really in a little bike. I've basically, that's as fast as I can take that corner without scraping my foot peg. So I'm looking at 30-35 kilometers an hour, that sort of range. You know, that's pretty laughable on a 250cc motorcycle. You could probably pull that off at 60, you know, if you had the right skills. Which then brings me to my next point. On a motorcycle like this, it's big and heavy, you're not really going to want to be pushing the bike very often to its limits, because you're going to end up coming off the bike or doing something reckless. So on a little 250cc bike, you're more inclined to push that little thing as far as it can go, as hard as it can go, push it around the corners, get all the twisties in, and fully understand and know that motorcycle and its limitations in and out. Whereas if I did that on this, I would no longer be making video blogs, that's for sure. I would quickly come to an abrupt end. If you're getting a little bike and the big thing for you is because that's all you can afford, and your budget and rego and insurance and everything is really tight, that is absolutely fine, because at the end of the day, this 650cc on a straight will kick the shit out of any 250cc motorcycle, but throw in a couple of corners like this and that 250 has absolutely obliterated me. because I can't do corners fast on this thing, because I like to keep my foot pegs / keep my feet. On a little 250cc you could really push its limits a lot more than you could on this, and if I had a little 250cc I can guarantee that my slow speed maneuvering would be a lot better than it is now. Like it's good, I could do the U-turns and everything that's required of me, but on this bike it's you know, it takes a little bit of an effort sometimes to really concentrate. Yeah, so I jumped on my mate's MT-07 the other day, took it for a lap around work and around the car park, and basically that thing's got a big engine for the size and weight of the bike. It's so lightweight and nimble that I was just sitting there having the time of my life, just doing figure eights and U-turns in a car park, and I was like, wow, this is amazing. So it's not just limited to power. If you wanted a bike that's nimble, you know, it doesn't necessarily mean you have to get something that's got bugger all power to be nimble. You can get something that's bigger and be quite happy. But for me, I like the cruiser style. I like stretching my legs out when I'm riding. It's kind of like the lazy boy of a motorcycle world. So at the end of the day, I think I would have learnt less on this 650 compared to someone riding a 250cc, because I can't push this bike to its limits yet. I've got a lot to learn before I can do that. Whereas if I jumped on a 250cc now, I'd already be at that limit after a week, because I've got that prior experience now from riding this. But if a 250cc was my first bike, I'd probably look at getting rid of that after the first year, probably. Unless I really loved it and that's all I could afford, and you know, at the end of the day I'm filling it up once a week or something with petrol, and it's costing me bugger all, so environmentally it's a good idea, but you're probably going to get sick of it. Would I get a 650cc again for a learner bike? I think I would, because I'm tall, and sitting on a 250, most of them are made for small people, and I just don't fit. Or if I do fit, I'm pretty cramped up. If you do a lot of highway stuff, then 250 is probably not going to be good for you. I only occasionally do a bit of highway, so it's not too bad, and if I go away for a weekend, I can go on the highway then. So you got to look at what you want out of a bike for your first bike and how you want to progress. If you ultimately love the style of a cruiser, then I think if you get a 650cc cruiser to begin with, like I have, you would probably keep it past your LAM's license, because you haven't gotten bored with it. So go for it, I reckon. So some pros to getting a big 650cc for your first bike, I reckon. The big one is you're not going to outgrow it within a year, and it's still going to be teaching you stuff. And if it has outgrown you, or you're thinking about selling it, it's probably because that type of bike doesn't suit you, or you just didn't enjoy it, or you didn't really understand what type of bike you wanted to begin with. If you want something that's cheap to run, easy to ride, and I mean bloody easy compared to a bigger heavy bike like this, then a light nimble 250cc is the way to go. So for me, I bought my cruiser essentially before I even got my license. I sat on it a few days before doing the license course and just plodded it along in first gear, just, you know, not really having a clue what to do on a motorcycle other than if it's going to stall, push the clutch in, or if you need to stop, push the clutch and pull brake at the same time. And basically I sat on it and I was like, yeah, it feels alright. Is this comfortable? I don't know. But I'm glad that I did buy it, because it is bloody comfortable. It's got lots of power, you know, this thing is deadly. Check this out. Plenty of power for a cruiser. Now you guys probably have sports bikes and go, yeah, is that it? Is that all you got? Yeah, that's all I've got, and mine's LAM's restricted. So that's basically it. It's up to you guys out there what bike you get, and how much patience you have of wanting to master that bike. I reckon I've still got at least another 6 months on this before I'm getting about the 80% of the mastering of what this bike can do. Yeah, so I've got plenty of time on this bike still before it outgrow it. So if I had a 250cc, I probably would be looking to upgrade about now. and there's no dramas with that really. But I like this bike, it's good, it's nice. Oh, and another thing I didn't say was if you did get a 650cc motorcycle that was big and heavy like mine, you could, not saying you should, go down the path of de-restricting the thing. So once you have ridden it for a year and you have pushed the boundaries somewhat and you're ready to progress a little bit more, you can just get it de-restricted or Google how to do it. Don't ask me how to do mine, I wouldn't have a clue. But yeah, you could do that and basically get another bike out of it, essentially, when you think of it, because you'll be learning a lot more. And let's face it, if people upgrade their 250cc motorcycle, it's because they want to get something bigger and faster. And they've learned all of the basics and can't push that bike any further without learning anything new. So I reckon it boils down to 2 points. One, if you get a small bike, be prepared that you're going to outgrow it after the first year of owning it and needing to buy another bike. Second point, on a big heavy bike that has a lot more power, you're not going to outgrow that as quick. So for a Lamb's bike, you might even keep that for a few years. And if you de-restrict the thing, if you are craving for more power, then you could keep it even longer. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you next Tuesday. Keep safe out there on the road. Stay on two wheels, nose your head. And I'll catch you guys later. I have no idea what that fault is. And with the Hyosung bikes, you can't connect them up to a computer to download a fault code because it just says...